And we're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Bearded Men of Real Estate show. I'm Ray. Say hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan.
And this is Dan. Both of us are real estate agents. Dan, where are you located for everyone?
The United States.
Okay. Me too. Me too. I'm here. I'm in the middle. He's on one of the sides.
Yes, there you go. That's as much info as we want to get. Just our point is, if you have anything real estate related, you call Ray or myself first. We'll guide you in the proper path.
There you go. Very nice. Oh, and Dan, I think I just noticed this. I think your computer mic is on.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think it's picking up the I'm missing the docile. Is it docile tones?
Let's see.
Tom Butts said, wow, somebody's had their coffee this morning.
Oh.
Yes, I have. Actually, I'm on my third cup here. Well, welcome everybody to the show. Thanks for joining us. If this is your first time, you can actually comment just like Tom did, and then we can display your comment and we can talk about you, or we could choose to talk about your comment as well. So we have tons of headlines to go through. We're going to be talking about the mortgage demand. We're going to talk about renters and how they're feeling about buying. There's also some commercial delinquencies that are happening. So we're going to talk about those repercussions. Zillow is up to good or no good. We'll let you be the decider. That's not a thing. We'll let you decide. You be the judge. That's what it is.
No, you can be the Deciders. Yeah, no. That's a great movie too, The Deciders.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, that sounds way better. Melissa Marr is checking in. She says, hey, dudes. Hello. Edward Caro.
There we go. We've been missing.
He's from Arizona. So he said, hello from the Valley of the Surface of the Sun in Phoenix, Arizona. Dance, Dan.
Dude, if it's hot here, it's got to be hot there because we're hitting almost 100 here. So, by the way, you guys don't know where I'm at, but it's Southern California.
Christina says, hey, fellas, thank you, Ray, for your video clip. You're so welcome. If you missed the spice rack I made for our house,
right?
You got it.
We told everyone last week you need to go watch that.
You got to check it out. It's pretty sweet. So she's actually doing a YouTube video on it. And I've been encouraged by several people to kind of do I guess you could call it a deep dive into that spice rack and show you like the step-by-step on how I made it instead of just like the really fast, like here it is. So I'll be doing another video on that soon.
I don't know, man. Sometimes the tease is just good.
I know, right? Melissa Mara said, humidity is killing me now. 112 degrees in Arizona, but it's a dry heat, Edward. What does that compute to? What does that compute to in a humid heat? Like 100? I don't know. Melissa Mara said, I saw a spice rack like that this week.
All from one video that Ray Allen did. So if you guys think video doesn't work, you're wrong.
Somebody said I should take it on the Shark Tank.
So
they can't patent that idea.
So 112, I don't know. I'd rather have 112 and humid. I don't know humidity that well than dry. Dry sucks. If you guys don't know hot, dry, it's horrible. So no.
Dry is way better. Christina says 105 in Vegas last week when I was there. It's so hot. So imagine stepping out of your house and feeling like someone poured warm water on you.
Yeah.
That is what happens when it gets over 100 degrees with humidity.
But I'd rather that than the dry where it feels like my skin is just cracking. Yeah.
Yeah, you can get a little bit of moisturizer and you're fine. It's not as hot for sure.
Oh, it's
Melissa Mars says no, you don't want that. Lisa Park says humidity, Lord no. So Dan, you're gonna have to make a trip so you can experience this hot, humid heck that we live in. Lisa
so here's a funny story. I was so frustrated at the end of the last week just because I'm busy, and I'm not complaining about that, but I'm just busy and I can't keep up, and I just needed a mental health day. I literally mapped to Little Rock just to see how long it would take me to drive there. I almost just left. It's 24 hours, so I could do that in 2 days.
A long time.
Yeah.
Melissa Mara said you just showered, you walk outside and you're instantly sweating. Yes, that is exactly. Dry or humid, hot just sucks.
There you go.
I would much rather be cold than hot because I can always add another layer of clothes.
Right.
You can only take off so much publicly.
Well,
I guess things are being loosened these days.
Yeah. So I have been to Cancun, Mexico, and that's, if you guys don't know where that is, that's actually up under Texas on the east side of Mexico. And I was not ready. I was 25 and I just was like, I don't even know where it is. It's Mexico. It's south. but it was like a 5-hour flight, and it's one of those ones where you get off the plane onto the runway, and the second the door opened, it went boom.
Yes.
It nailed me. This humidity was crazy, and it was probably 90, 95, and it just smacked me in the face. I'm like, what have I done?
Yep.
Oh, but yeah, it was lots of
Christina
good times.
said she loves cold. She strongly prefers cold. Mike Elizabeth Riddell says, as long as you wear a mask, that's mandatory. Melissa says it's only okay when you're on the beach. But I even think like a beach is a drier humidity because you have the sea breeze that's going through. It may be humid, but you have a nice breeze. As long as you have a breeze, you're fine. But as soon as you're in a humid environment with no breeze and it's super hot, there's nothing worse.
It's dank.
All right. So we will switch this debate to another day. Maybe we can do a video on drier hot heat with Edward. But we have a lot to get to today. So I want to go ahead and start getting into that. We're going to talk about home mortgage demand. It is spiking. So we're going to talk about that. Commercial real estate delinquencies, which I've kind of already mentioned. Experts saying about the eviction moratoriums. And there's a real estate CEO that's talking about the exodus of people moving from the urban areas to the suburbs. And then Zillow is back at it again. So they're re-ramping up since the COVID crisis.
And look at Christina's comment.
And I have this, so
Spoiler alert.
I have this Airbnb story about how they're cracking down on party houses. So you might have noticed in the headlines how I said they're being lame, but it's really interesting what the way they're cracking down and what they're doing. It's interesting. And then let's see. Wait, it keeps. All right. So Christina said, let's talk about Suze. Yes, let's talk about that. Yes, we're definitely going to do that. And
that's going to be, we're going to take time with that one. So we're going to rip through the stories because we have a hard out at 1 p.m. his time, 11 a.m. my time, both of us. But we're going to kind of get through the stories, have some good conversations, but then we're getting right to Suze.
Yeah, we're going to get to Suze. I actually have a video coming out about it a little later too, but we're going to kind of get to how wrong a self-proclaimed
media
financial guru.
Oh,
just
yeah. By the way, yeah, I'm excited about this one. I'm heated about this one. Is my mic better, by the way?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. We have the dulcet tones back here.
Is it dulcet?
Well, my voice is very much like this, but the microphone makes it sound like this. So in real life, you're going to get a lot of this. Hey guys, nice to see you. But and on the microphone, then you get lots of this.
There you go. Way better. All right. So we got a lot to get into. Dan, before we get into these headlines, would you tell people what Be More is actually all about? Oh, and I should mention that t-shirts were ordered. We're just waiting on confirmation from the t-shirt company. And then all of you who ordered one of the Listen, Learn, and Love shirts will be charged. So that's all we're waiting on that.
So good.
But Dan, tell us, what is Be More all about?
Well, when Ray and I met on the interwebs here about 3 years ago, Ray, you remember 3 years ago?
Yeah, I do vividly.
I do not vividly. I remember it kind of. But I remember when you and I met, and I had an idea for a show because I am, in fact, a bearded man of real estate. And when I met Ray, I noticed something very interesting about him. Did you guys know? He looks like Yoda. No.
Yeah.
He only drives 3-wheeled cars. Did you guys know that about him?
That's true. I love the 3-wheelers.
That's it.
I actually grew up on the 3-wheelers. They were yellow Yamaha 3-wheelers, and
the YZ80s. Yeah.
Later in my life, someone called them the death machines. I was like, what?
Well, they realized
I grew up riding those through the woods, man. We love those.
Well, they realized quickly that two things could happen. If you turn too hard, you're going to get flipped over that way.
Right.
And if now they fixed it
under the wheel because it's a 3-wheeler.
Huh?
There's plenty of space under the wheel though because it was a 3-wheeler. So.
Yeah, well, and they realized on the 4-wheelers they put bigger foot pads down now, but if you put your foot down on those originals, it would yank you off.
It's true.
And yeah, oh no, I had those lots of good times. But no, I also noticed obviously Ray had a beard, but he also had a layout for the show, and it's the same layout that we do today, with the same exact breakdown. But what I also noticed is that he loves giving value up front to his clients, and so do I. So we combined our Wonder Beard powers, and we created the show that you see today. But it's also about being more as an agent, but also being more as a human.
There you go. And one of the things we love about the show is the interaction with you guys. So we encourage you, even if you are lurking, to please do comment, especially on the stories, because we'd love to have the open discussion. I'm also going to put a link to a post in our Be More Contributors group that I'd like for you to take a look at, because we're always looking for feedback. We have the format that we have now, and we like the format, but if there's something that we could change that might make it more enjoyable for you, we want to know what that is. So I just posted a link to that so that you could review the show for a little bit and let us know. And if there was any reason like why you've stopped watching the show in the past or what that was, we're just kind of curious, and we want to try to figure out how to get more participation, more of you viewing more often. So please take a second to look at that.
And if you're not a member of the Be More Contributors, go request it. We've only turned down 3 people so far.
Yeah, you definitely have to. Christina Smallhorn says, I generally lurk. I like lurking. It makes me more comfortable.
I know you're on the spotlight today, but hey,
today you're there.
I love it. And you're catching up for all that lurking you've done. By the way, you know, the 3 people that we've denied, Ray, all of them put exclusively ketchup on their hot dogs. So we had to say no.
Well, yeah, you can't just do that.
No, you can't do that.
You ready to get into the headlines?
Yep.
Let's do it.
We were so
just like that.
Focused today, man. We are focused
We're
today.
focused on it. We're on one, as my assistant would say.
I drank a coffee.
All right, so
Coffee.
we're going to talk about. Oh wait, I can hit the share screen button. So I'm using a slightly different system here to do the sharing screen. I want to do a Chrome tab, not the application.
We like to change things up as we go live, so we don't know what's going to happen. Just like fixing my mic live. It's the best.
Okay, so the first story on the docket is the home buyer mortgage demand spikes 33% as rates set another record low.
Jeez.
So if you recall, in some of the stories that we shared maybe it was the last show or the show before that, June seemed to have pulled back a little bit, but that didn't last long. So home buyers are back into the market this week with the historically low interest rates, and applications to purchase rose 5% and were 33% higher than a year ago. Now, this is one of the few times in one of these articles that they've actually led with a positive headline. So normally it's not so positive on there. So I'm kind of surprised to see that. By the way, those numbers were given to us from the Mortgage Bankers Association seasonally adjusted index, which was adjusted for the 4th of July holiday. Home prices have also continued to go up in response to this steady home buyer demand. Here's a quote from Joel Kahn. Mortgage rates declined to another record low as renewed fears of coronavirus resurgence offset the impacts from a week of mostly positive economic data, such as June factory orders and payroll employment. He goes on to say that the average purchase loan size increased to $365,700, which is also another high. As borrowers contended with the limited supply and higher home prices, which we've kind of been preaching for a while. Just to note that refinance activity was also 111% higher than last year.
So a little bit more than double.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy. So refinance is up. Mortgage applications to purchase new homes or applications to purchase homes are up 33%. So overall, very good week for mortgage rates. They only went down just a very little bit, but they all jumped in.
Yeah, well, and when they're already at historic lows, 0.01 is another historic low. So it's something to write another story about. And they just keep hanging around these all-time lows. And they're not like lowest in the last 7 years. These are lowest ever.
Yeah.
And I think I think the news is getting out and more buyers flood in.
I'm sure a lot of it is headline driven, but it's also, they've been hearing it now for 3 or 4 months. So it's starting to sink in that these are some of the best times to purchase. I actually had a client that said that they refinanced 6 months after purchasing their home.
Yeah. Well, if you bought before this crazy boom, if there's another 5% markup in your market and you put 15% down or 10% down, now you're at 20%. Or you're just refinancing and saving yourself a full point from 6 months or a year ago.
Yeah. Super smart move.
Dude, good times. So Ray, what do you think? Do you think renters are feeling better about buying a home?
It seems like if a bunch of people are jumping into the market, I'm betting a large portion of them would be renters. Maybe.
Yeah. And for me and our team personally, it's a lot of first-time buyers that are jumping out, which usually means they've been renters, right?
Yep.
They weren't given a house and they've never bought a house before. But we actually do have that scenario that it's a very cool scenario, but technically they are first-time buyers. But after plunging to nearly the lowest level in its history in April, a recent Fannie Mae survey says consumer sentiment in the housing market is bouncing back significantly. Renters were especially optimistic about home buying. The share of consumers who think it's a good time to buy a home increased from 52% to 61% month to month, according to the said survey, while fewer Americans said it was a bad time to buy, and renters drove much of that improvement. This is a quote from Doug Duncan. The share of renters who say it's a good time to buy a home is now at its highest level in 5 years, suggesting favorable conditions for first-time home buying, consistent with the recent rebound in home purchase activity. And by the way, Doug is the senior vice president and chief economist. So he's both of those things. While we're all just being real estate agents or being that or being this, Doug's got both of these things. All right, Doug, we get it. We get it. Calm down, buddy. Additionally, current homeowners are also getting slightly more optimistic about the sales market, especially given the lack of housing supply, which we've only been mentioning for 2 years, Ray. So
I thought this was the most interesting statistic of this study.
Yeah, the percentage of respondents say now is a good time to sell a home increased from 32, not just a little bit. It went up 9% to 41%, although nearly half still think it's a bad time to sell. Now, I wanted to ask that question to you, Ray, and also everyone listening and viewing. Why do you think that is? Why do you think, and maybe we could tease Susie a little bit here, but why do you think it's a bad time? Why do you think people think it's a bad time to sell?
I have no idea.
I don't either.
I feel like we've been shouting from the rooftops that now's the time to sell because limited inventory. Now's the time. Now's the time. Now's the time.
Yeah.
And then it's like only 41% of people know that it's one of the best times in history to sell your property to get the most amount for your home. And there's tons of equity that you have on average. There's like more equity in the United States than ever before. I mean, it's a great time to sell.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of my posts are straight up, and I'm not like this, but they're like, you have to call me if you're just curious about selling now. I just want to have a conversation with you. I'm never that way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the absolute perfect storm of seller, especially if you're selling and buying.
Melissa Marr said, but it's just so tough with inventory right now. And that is true.
Yeah,
but
she's
a lot of
super
the agents that probably listen to the show know the extra lengths to go to, right? I was discussing this with a buyer on the phone this morning who just kind of contacted us through the Dave Ramsey ELP program. And they said,
hey, we're part of that too.
Oh, good.
Nice.
They said, with everything going on, I just don't know if it's a good time to buy. I said, well, do you want a house to live in that you own? And they said, yes. I said, well, it's probably a good time. So one of the questions that I brought up to them, because they weren't even thinking about it, was the limited inventory, and made sure that they knew that we door knock, we do marketing and media into area homes are listed. So fine. But the most amazing thing, Lisa Perk says, all this downward pressure on rates makes me regret that physician loan last year. Portfolio loans don't get the sweet refi action. Good point. Christina Smallhorn says they're scared, period. Melissa Marr
she
says,
talking about sellers?
Yeah, she was talking about sellers. So Melissa Marr says, I have no idea, except the inventory is terrible and finding the next spot is a challenge.
Yeah.
So maybe that's kind of what Dusty Martin says. Most of my sellers would sell, but the problem is inventory is low and there's nothing for them to buy. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Yeah. Oh, Dusty teaches FPU. Oh, good. I love that. So Edward Caro says they have no home options to sell and move. So all that is true, but that's not what the question
like a
said.
theme.
The question said, is now a good time to sell? And usually that's just they want you on these surveys to focus on one side of that transaction and not to assume the other side. So is it a good time to sell? Yes, absolutely. Is it a good time to buy? Well, it's a tough time to buy, but you'll never be in a market that it's a really good time to buy and a fantastic time to sell. Like that doesn't exist. It is either one or the other. And so it's kind of a wash as far as market conditions go. But can you make more money on your home now than ever before in history? Yes.
And
So
can you buy with essentially putting less down and having a more affordable payment than ever before in history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over a 30-year period, it's a huge deal.
Yeah.
Melissa Marr said, the people I see selling now are people that have the option of staying with family temporarily or moving to secondary permanently. That's interesting.
We're having those conversations with our sellers right now. You either have to stay, if we can't find you anything, you're going to have to or rent back, or you're going to have to stay with family and friends. We're going through those options with multiple sellers right now.
So one of the big questions that some of my clients have is with everything that's going on with COVID and the commercial industry and the businesses and employment, if now is a good time to sell, then what's going to happen in 3 or 4 or 5 months? What's going to happen next year? I was literally asked a question this week about commercial buildings and delinquencies, and would there be deals in the future due to the delinquent landlords? And I drove through a previously budding, kind of like a promenade, where it's kind of a mall, but it's walkable, but you also park in front of them, all these little stores, but you can kind of walk the whole promenade. Yeah. And the vacancy rate of just what I could see was probably around 30 or 40%.
Wow.
And it was a nice, there were several businesses in there that had gone out since COVID and also just since last year. So it makes me wonder what's going to happen to those. Brad Daniels said extended stay hotels. So I think he's responded to you, Melissa, where they could just stay in extended stay hotels for a bit. All right. So on the commercial thing, let me pull up this article here, and I'm going to kind of go through it with you. Commercial mortgage delinquencies surged to record monthly rate in June. So the delinquency rate hit 3.5% in June, which is an increase from 1.46 in May. New delinquencies totaled 10.8 billion, raising the total delinquent pool to 17.2 billion. It may not be surprising given the massive economic impact of the coronavirus pandemic, but the numbers are still remarkable. And this is just the beginning. Fitch analysts are projecting that the impact from the coronavirus pandemic will drive delinquency rate between 8.25% and 8.75%. So, and here's the quote I wanted to get to. The delinquencies are concerning because they could have a negative impact on property valuations, which could ultimately result in losses in the CMB's investors, said Melissa Che, Fitch's senior director of CMBs. This is the section here that kind of talks about, says here are the sectors fair worse than other. Hotels 11.49%, that from 2% in May, so that's a huge change. The delta there is enormous. Retail is 7.86%. Mixed use is 4.17%. Office is only 1.92%. I thought that would be a lot higher, honestly, because of everyone telling other people, "Hey, work from home."
Yeah.
Industrial 0.67%. Multifamily 0.59%. So these numbers kind of tell a story of what we know that's happening. And I'll kind of leave this on the screen as I bring us both back up here. The numbers tell a bit of the story of what's happening given the travel restrictions and the things that are closed and things that are open, right? So you have hotels that are down because travel is supremely restricted everywhere. And people just aren't comfortable still going on vacation. We have seen an increase in the vacations, but a lot of those are Airbnbs, which we'll get to those party houses in a little bit. Retail is also down, which makes sense because, and now I'm wondering if this retail includes online retail. That would be a big question for me. It seems like if it includes online retail, I'm actually surprised that that's down because I figured it would be up as people are spending the little stimulus money that they got. And then mixed use was 4.17%, which is just, that's just mixed use commercial. But the surprising one for me is office. It's only up 1.92% on the delinquency rate.
It's a half a point or 0.5%.
That's 0.5%.
Yeah.
I thought it would be a lot higher because as these companies jettison their employees to work from home, a lot of them are not going to be renewing, or maybe they're still paying on the.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe they're still paying, and then if they keep their workers at home, they'll just wait until the lease is up, kind of thing. Because if they had what's standard, a 5-year lease on an office space.
Yeah.
I don't know if even if you had a year
for office, it's usually 3 to 5. Yeah. For a major company, it's like 30 to 50 years, right? So Lisa Perk says our promenade vacancy rate is shocking. Yes. That was in West Little Rock that I think you're talking about, Lisa. I was actually on the one off of Shackleford, which is
yeah, I know that one.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Lisa said, and all the new building of commercial spaces. We had a rash of commercial development in the last 2 or 3 years that has led to a lot of for lease office spaces right now in our area. And which is ironic because I had a developer talk to me last year and they're like, should we develop commercial? I was like, wait like a year or two. So I'm glad we waited.
Hopefully they did.
Yeah. Melissa Marr said, Brad, that doesn't exist really by me. There you go. The
extended stay.
That's true. Anyway, I just thought it was an interesting point, something to be watching for as you are working with clients who are looking for investment opportunities. You could see some foreclosed commercial buildings or some commercial buildings being sold at a slight discount because they couldn't figure out how to fill the vacancy.
Maybe your bigger investors could buy little hotels.
Right. If you find ways to fill those vacancies, remodel it, change it, then it's a real money-making opportunity, but that's not cheap to do. Melissa said that they just cleared land. They just cleared land across the grocery store by me for a new strip mall. Interesting.
An entire mall full of no, never mind.
So speaking of commercial businesses that may be ejecting themselves and then the loan holders of those buildings being in trouble, what's happening in the residential market, Dan?
Well, that's what we want to know. What are experts saying about the end of eviction moratoriums? So these moratoriums nationwide are set to expire later this month, potentially thrusting tens of thousands of people into a housing crisis. In March, Congress passed a federal mandate prohibiting evictions and foreclosures until July 24th in response to the Rona. But as that deadline quickly approaches, experts warn that unless Congress passes more relief, renters might be forced out on the streets. So across the country, thousands of evictions are either pending or processing, possibly setting up a wave of newly homeless people in the next few months. So in Tucson, Arizona, the courts are processing an average of 52 eviction cases per day, and that's up from 10 to 30 cases. In Tennessee, more than 9,000 eviction hearings are pending, about 33% more cases than normal for this time. And no concrete data yet exists that quantifies the number of newly homeless people nationally. So do we expect these numbers to rise if Congress doesn't pass another relief?
Can we go back to the article for a half second here? Look at this article. Okay, first it's Carrie Fisher Star Wars poster, which is cool.
It's good times.
But they're showing a homeless person on the street in an article that's talking about.
By the way, that's Hollywood.
So it's interesting to me. Like what they're implying here is that once all these evictions come through, there's no way to go for these folks except for homelessness.
Right. And that's kind of where I went with it as well. I do think it's, oh no, she's got to go.
No, she's got to go. Christina says, got a jet, fellas. Catch you on the interwebs. I'll see you.
We got to save the best for last, and you're going to miss out on Susie, but that's okay.
You'll miss out on Susie. You'll have to come back and comment afterwards. So anyway, I just thought it was interesting that the article is like pushing this, like if they're not renting, they're homeless. And I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think a lot of people are going to find a different rental. I also don't think it's the case that the number of rentals have been expedited. I just think there were courts that closed, that did not operate, that were not open for a very long time. And now they're reopening. So they have a backlog of everything to process, including eviction notices that were probably sent out long before COVID. Yeah. So now you have that plus the ones that, the people that aren't paying, they got money from the government and they didn't pay their rent with it. So I don't know how much of this, the unemployment rate is only about 5% off of full employment. It's at 11% now. Full employment is considered 6%. So it's not like there are thousands, and I mean, there are thousands because it's a percentage of how many billion people, but it's not like all of these people, like half the United States is going to be homeless, or 25% of the United States is going to be homeless, or even that 5%. I don't know that they're all not paying their rent. I just think that there's something in these statistics that are a little off.
Well, and also what the article infers or implies.
Yeah.
It's also, I also
33% more cases than for this time of year. Yeah, but what if you took the previous years and you said, okay, we're going to take all of those evictions that normally happened in Tennessee and we're going to dogpile it onto July. Then,
well, and what if there were none processed for a month and a half while everything was shut down?
Yes. I think the stats are a little off. Dusty says, to be fair, Tucson's economy.
Yep.
I started saying Tuscan.
Mm-hmm.
Tucson's economy has always struggled with stable, high-paying jobs, and as a town fueled by a local college, U of A, many jobs are retail, restaurant jobs, and hospitality. So when you shut down travel, bars, restaurants for months, it hugely impacts low-income wage earners who wake up a huge part of the Tucson job market and population. Mike Elizabeth Rodell says, because it sounds good to say workers are backed up. What?
It doesn't sound good to say workers.
It doesn't sound good. I was like, that doesn't sound good at all. Okay, sorry, I missed that.
Yeah. So, but I'm also curious about the younger generation. I don't even know what they're called anymore. They're not millennials, but the 18 to 24-year-olds that had the jobs at Starbucks and the starter jobs that where they never closed down, but they limited and less people either got furloughed or laid off. Did those kids just stop renting and go back home? Or it's a hard reality to accept that it's either if you don't rent, then you are homeless.
Yeah. It doesn't sound. And if you're saying, well, look at all these spiking cases, but you're not adjusting for, last year's numbers versus this year's numbers and the virus.
Or the numbers that didn't get processed through the end of March, April, and through May.
Right.
Until things recently opened back up. And I'd also love to look back at the crash after 07 and 08. What is it? Just a bunch of homeless people?
Mm-hmm.
Tide Pod Gen. There you go.
Edward Carroll says Tide Pod Gen. So Melissa brings up a good point. She said, apparently some of them are making more than adults who have legit bills to pay on unemployment. There are some who have been making more on the unemployment than they were making working.
Ankle biters.
There you go. Dusty.
Especially for me. I'm 8'6", so
ankle biter generation.
Everyone's an ankle biter to me.
Well, maybe some of them are moving from the urban areas to more suburban areas, Dan.
I wonder about this. And we've been talking about this on the show.
We have been talking about this. Zillow released a report, actually, to go back a couple of weeks. Zillow released a report a couple of weeks ago that said that this wasn't happening in their data. They could not see the outflow from the urban areas to the suburban areas based on the data they were seeing. So today we have a counterpoint. Real estate CEO expects exodus of central business districts to last the next 2 years. So that is exponential demand coming from the cities to the burbs. Hasim Najid, president and CEO of Marcus Milchamp, thinks so. He said, quote, I think the next 18 to 24 months are going to show a lot of exodus out of the central business districts, as you can expect. Najid said in an interview with The Exchange on CNBC. We're seeing that there's a lot of office vacancy, for example, in the suburbs that have now been absorbed. There's a lot of demand for rental homes that we're seeing because people are fleeing, especially hotspots like New York. But you just have to keep them. You just have to keep a long-term view on it. So basically, he is the counterpoint to what Zillow's point was in a report a couple of weeks ago that stated, based on the click-through data that they're seeing, there wasn't a huge change in the number of people that were searching for suburban areas versus searching for inner city areas.
Well, and as you said, I think it was last week on the show, maybe a couple of weeks ago, as more and more people, they've been released to work at home, but now the businesses are like, well, keep working from home. We're doing great. There's two parts to that, but as they are, then more people are going to go, well, I don't want to pay. What was it last week, Ray? $3,800 down to $3,200 for a single bedroom in San Francisco. They're not going to pay that anymore, especially if they can work from home from a city that's 45 minutes away. Well, in San Francisco, that's only 4 miles, but still, that's a traffic joke. But still, now you can just go work from home and live wherever you want. So either those suburban areas in the rental and the purchase markets should be growing a little bit, you would think.
It also seems like there could be an opportunity for someone to offload rentals that, you know, single family rentals and stuff like that are in a big city when the rental market is not as attractive. And yet they can offload those now at historically high home prices. So I think you should see inventory coming onto the market from investors, maybe.
Well, and Clayton mentioned in the contributors group where he's in the Houston area of Texas, and he's got buyers right now that they're putting down less than it would cost to put on a rental, and their payment is $500 less a month. Does that make sense to everyone? Like, really think about that.
Yeah, it's a good
So
time. It's been inverted for years, so now it's a great time to buy now.
Yeah, your first and last month, whatever that would be on a rental in Houston, you can put less money down on the home than that, and your payment is $500 less. I mean, talk about a no-brainer.
That'd be a good graphic to make. Mike Elizabeth Rodell said all these foreclosed folks can move into less expensive rentals that are now open from city folks flocking to the retreats. It's true.
I like that they're called city folks.
City folk.
I feel like she's from Arkansas. Oh, she is.
She is.
With her, does she have purple hair now, or she went to pink, didn't she?
I think she's in between. She was purple.
Transitioning, because it was legit, like your shirt purple.
Yes.
It was so pixel. I loved it. So what we're saying, oh wait, this might be Mike. Sorry, Mike. What color is Mike's hair right now? Oh, whoops.
What hair? Okay. So let's talk.
Love you, Mike.
Zillow. She said, "Oh no, I'm from Minnesota."
Oh no, I'm from Minnesota.
She's picking up some Southern twang here and there.
Right. Folks, what? So what do you think Zillow's up to, Ray?
They're always up to something.
Always up to something. Either it's a horrible report from 2 weeks ago that's now been rebutted. Oh no, just kidding. So they're back to iBuying again, and now they've opened back up. About a month ago or so we covered it, where they started going back in because they did put a moratorium or a halt or a pause on the iBuying programs. That's what we here on the Bearded News Network call that iBuying. But Zillow has resumed buying homes in 5 more Zillow offers markets after initially pausing all buying in March due to the economic restrictions associated with the Rona. The company is buying homes again in Los Angeles and Riverside in California. I work both of those in case you guys were wondering. Minneapolis, Minnesota, where Michael Elizabeth Rodell is from. Cincinnati, Ohio, where Aaron Binnick Thomas is from. And Orlando. Who's from there?
I
don't know. Making the home buying component live in 20 of the 24 Zillow offers markets. So now this quote, as I read it, I felt like I've read this quote from Zillow.
We have
16 times, right? It's the exact same quote. And not only around iBuying and not only from Zillow, but here we go. Home sellers want a more convenient, seamless, and safe way to sell their home. Like I've heard that 1,000 times from not just Zillow. Redfin, Trulia, Open Door, blah, blah, blah. And we're excited to bring Zillow offers back to more sellers around the country, Zillow President Jerry Waxman said in a statement. That dude's wax,
man. Do you notice he also didn't say cheaper?
Right. That's never mentioned.
They never mention it, but that's one of the things that for whatever reason people have in their brain is that it's going to be cheaper.
Well,
it's
convenient.
Not cheaper, it's actually more expensive.
Right. And we've been debunking these for almost the full 3 years of the show at this point. And that convenience fee is another 3% usually. I mean, at least all the way up to 9% or 11% for some of these programs where you pay out, and they make it sound like no, but here, and I'll even finish the quote. The rapid adoption of technology and virtual tools is creating a new and safer landscape I think that's what they added is safer for the entire real estate experience. With Zillow offers, a homeowner can sell their house without any of the traditional hassles of open houses, which no one is doing right now, and houses are flying off the market, right, Ray? Home showings, which home showings are still, I don't know. Well, you have to show your home, or prepping a house for sale, and can have more certainty and control than ever before. Here's the very, very convenient thing, all on their own timeline, because we don't do that as real estate agents, Ray. So We make our timeline, and we do
had
not
our
cater to
timeline.
our clients at all, right?
Right.
So is any of that statement true? Because now I want to break down the statement. This is the 400th time I've read this. And are there anything that they're saying? Is it anything that we agents don't provide? And by the way, we do it for less costs.
I feel like the middle section of this article was copy and pasted from an earlier article.
Absolutely.
This is not new. This is, I mean, maybe a trick that Patrick Kearns did to fill space.
The only new thing is that they've opened it back up again, because I think
he had a 250 word article and he needed to make it 500 words for the SEO.
Right. So, but remember when Zillow opened back up again, there was this article that we're reading now, and I swear the quote was same. I don't think it was from Jeremy Waxman. I think it was from someone else, but it's literally the exact same quote. It's always the same kind of. It's more convenient on their timeline. And I think all these iBuyer programs just copy and paste and say the same exact thing.
They did rephrase. There usually was another phrase about how they compared that to real estate agents, and it kind of made the real estate agents seem like they were bad. So they did remove that part of the statement, because I think they got some backlash from that, from our show, especially because here are all these real estate agents paying them for leads, and now they're saying, nah, real estate agents aren't any good for you.
That was the real gnarly kicker. Oof.
Yep. When we asked what was Zillow up to, Dusty said world domination.
Yeah.
They have all said it, and it just isn't so.
There you go. Sean and Jimmy Layton for Orlando. Now we know.
Sean and Jimmy Layton. There you go. I didn't play that one or put that one up in time, so I'm not totally sure what she was referring to, but I think it was something in our articles. Mike Elizabeth Burdell said, I'm pretty sure that's all they're allowed to say, kind of like military being interrogated. Name, rank, social. Zillow can only say that one response.
Yeah. But it's not just Zillow. It's all the iBuying programs.
Mm-hmm.
Say for me, ours.
Melissa Mara says, we provide it better. We do it better.
So that's always my question, because right now houses are going for more than ever. And I mean, for our team, because it's due to our marketing, it's due to our 3D tours, it's due to everything we do. But now my question is, so let's say someone does go with one of these iBuyer programs and they stumble into this multiple offer situation, which I don't think is going to happen, and they end up getting more than asking for it. Who's going to be there to have these conversations with appraisers and the lender to really massage these things through to make sure they understand how the market is? Because we're having appraisal issues right now.
Or who's going to be there to let the seller know what the best option is?
Right. Because if you get an offer 30 grand over asking, that may not be your best offer. Does that make sense?
Totally sounds great. Using owner financing.
Yeah, there you go. You can right back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah. No.
Your,
my uncle is providing the down payment money.
Yeah.
Okay. All
just
right.
double up on the skin you have in the game, so to speak. But like that 30K over is not necessarily your best offer if it's never going to appraise. If it's only going to appraise for 10 over, you're going to have a very difficult escrow. And then if you do select that offer, who's going to be there to help you negotiate through that escrow?
Yeah.
You know, it's a really slippery slope when people go for that. And they do have numbers. I don't know if you want to bring it up, Ray. Here, I'll bring it up because I just kind of want to, let's see, where was it?
I got it. I'll go back. Even just with the pause?
At the bottom there. So even with Inman keeps drawing in different things. Even with the pause, Zillow offers generated $770 million in revenue for the first quarter. So my question is, how much do they spend out though? Remember our favorite show?
That was like a $1.5 million loss. Last time they showed an amazing amount of revenue, they had double or triple the loss.
Yes.
Yeah.
But which included the second half of March. Zillow sold 2,300 homes, almost 2,400, and purchased almost 1,500. It ended up with a quarter of 1,791 homes in inventory, down from 2,700 at the end of the fourth quarter.
That's just because they're selling stuff, though.
Right. So it's not this big program that's just taking over. It's just not.
Dusty Martin said, well, the whole iBuyer model is dependent upon them being the only buyer. So no multiple offer situation there. That's true. Michael Elizabeth Brodell said the iBuyers are going to contact the iBuyers are going to contract out to Zillow agents who pay to help handle the transactions, probably at a much higher cost to the agent.
They're getting that back from somewhere.
Yeah. Facepalm from Melissa Mora.
And by the way, if we want to go back up here, hold on. We got to be clear. Elizabeth is moving to steel lavender hair.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And Mike also doesn't have hair.
For everyone that wanted to know.
Yeah. That's a pressing question on my mind, and I want to make sure.
Good. Well, speaking of pressing questions, let's talk about Airbnb being lame, dude. So how are they cracking down like this? Like, that seems like it's not going to work. But then I read more into it and realized, no, it's not only legit, it's a good idea. So Airbnb house party crackdown now bans certain renters under 25. I know it's some of you are thinking like, whoa, isn't that ageist? How can they do that? They can ban renters under 25? Wait. Here's some details.
Wait.
In an attempt to expand its crackdown on house parties, which came about last year, Airbnb banned people in the United States 25 years old and younger with poor host reviews from booking whole homes and guests neighborhoods. Okay, so if you have a poor host review and you're trying to book a house in an area that you already live, Airbnb is not going to let you do that. I think that's probably a pretty good policy. Because basically you're just trying to rent the house to trash it.
Well, it's something I never even thought of. You're just like, well, it's $99 to rent this house for 3 days.
Yeah,
I'm gonna trash it. I would also be concerned. We have Airbnb before, but I don't know. Is there a policy like if you trash it, it's your responsibility, or is that all just what is it like?
Normally it goes back to the person, but I mean, I don't know. What do you have to do? Sue them and stuff? Like, how do you get the money?
Right.
Here's a quote from the CEO. On house parties for those over 25, you may recall that in November, CEO Brian Chesky also announced a high-risk review, whereas we tripled our technological and operational investment in screening of high-risk reservations to cover the United States, Canada, and Mexico by the end of 2019. A major objective of this product is also stopping unauthorized parties by people of any age before they start. That technology is being continually improved, and we are looking at where next to expand the technology outside of North America. So this is essentially a Minority Report for partiers.
So if you're a partier, beware.
Y'all seen the Minority Report movie where the guys like, they find crimes before they take place and stop them.
That's they're doing.
Airbnb is doing for those of you older than 25 years who may be thinking about throwing a party in a house in an Airbnb. But it does beg the question, like, what if I wanted to get an Airbnb for some friends and just, we have a large get together and we all wanted to stay under one roof, and it may not be like a crazy party, but it's still in my name. It's still a get together. I'm not under 25, of course, but I wonder if that would flag it.
So wait, this is essentially going to be getting the 21-year-old guy to buy the high schooler's beer. That's what this is.
Everybody's going to have their mom and dad signed up for Airbnb just so they could get the party house.
Yeah, you're just going to have the cool 31-year-old that's renting the place for the 22-year-olds.
Melissa Mara said, for the 24-year-olds that still live with their folks and want to party, you're done now.
You're done.
That's true.
You got to go back to the 80s where we waited until our parents went out of town, and then we threw ragers that were magically cleaned up by that lady we created with our computer while we had bras. Okay, I've got it.
Oh, yeah. Weird science.
There we go.
That was a good one.
Weird science. Woo.
Okay, I got to find our next article here. So is everyone aware with what happened with Suze Orman?
Now, I'm going to give all the credit to Ray on this one because I saw a bunch of people after Ray share this. Like, hey, did you know? Do you agree? All this stuff. Ray had a very good take on this. It's where I saw the article. And I've actually gone to her page. Ooh, that's good. While you pull it up, I'm going to go to her page.
Go to her page. I'm going to pull this up. I can't believe that it's still there, honestly.
It's still there. That's why I originally searched. And there's a newer one stepping up her game.
This was posted July 6th at 5 p.m. There's been 121 shares. Let's see if this is the right one. So I'm just thinking about it right now. I feel like she's edited it.
Well, let's read it because she has another one that she posted at 3 p.m.
Oh, wait. That's a different one.
That's the different one. Yeah, that's the different one. So keep scrolling down.
Scroll down.
There you go. I would absolutely wait until September.
Yes. Okay. All right. So she posted again June 6th, and you can tell that's in her voice.
Yeah. Okay. So no, July 5th is the original one that Ray shared, and then July 6th there's the updated one. So we'll go through both.
All right. Here we go. I would absolutely wait until September, October, November of this year before I even consider buying a home. One concern is property values. Okay. Many people will have to make up their missed mortgage payments around the time the federal unemployment is scheduled to stop on July 31st. All right, so let's just parse this premise. That section has two things. It says people are going to have to make up their missed mortgage payments and unemployment's going to run out. So there's two assumptions here. One is that the forbearance won't be applied to the back end of the loan. And just like the CARES Act suggests that there won't be any way for them to negotiate the forbearance repayment in a different way. So it makes all these assumptions based on how someone is going to pay back the missed loan. Okay. Assumption number two, those who are behind and delinquent on their home are also unemployed. It says that the unemployment is going to run out, right? So she's implying that they're behind on their home and they're going to run out of money at the same time. But traditionally, what we have seen is that the most of the people that are still remaining unemployed, that 5% over and above the 6% that is normally full employment, a lot of them don't own a home.
Well, also she's assuming that everything's going to be foreclosed on in the next month. The process doesn't happen that quickly.
Oh, that's in the next section.
Right.
All right. So let's keep reading, Susie. One concern is property values. Okay. Unemployment scheduled to stop July 1st. This puts them in a difficult financial position, especially if they're still out of work. It's not possible that it's not impossible that your neighbors might have to foreclose on their home. Okay. Here's the problem.
It's not impossible that your neighbor. So this is what starts getting it. It's already grossly inaccurate, but now it starts getting worse. She really ramps up her game.
Right. It's inaccurate as it is. But let's just say all that's true.
Sure.
For the sake of argument.
Now, do not misquote us and take these wild ass outlandish claims that we're making as true and put them out all over the interwebs. Because we know that's what you guys do.
We're assuming Susie is true. All right. So let's say
which is not the case.
That's not the case, but let's say that's all correct. And this has happened all over the country, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you paid $300,000 for a home today. Your next door neighbor is out of work due to the coronavirus and can't afford to make mortgage payments. So they foreclose on their home. So this is the summation of the premise above.
And this is Ray actually reading her post. This is from her page on Facebook.
Reading her post. She says that house goes for $150,000.
What? Why would it all of a sudden market? If something forecloses, why is it all of a sudden worth $150,000? It's still in great shape. Just the bank owned it. There's only going to be a little bit of a dip, Susie.
Okay, so let's say maybe it's not in great shape. If you're buying in that neighborhood, then your house probably isn't either.
Right.
Let's say it's an okay.
And it wasn't worth $300,000 in the first place.
That's right. So there's several assumptions that she makes for that goes for $150,000. One of those assumptions is that the bank is trying to give away homes. And I have never seen a foreclosure that goes for half price.
Half price. And it seems that she's making it sound like it's overnight too.
Right. So, okay. That's not going to happen. A bank is not going to offload it for half price. The $150,000 loan alone is worth $250,000 to the bank because they'll make $100,000 off of that in principal over a 30-year period.
Thank you.
So they're not going to offload a $150,000 home for $150,000. They're going to make way more than that, or a $300,000 home for $150,000. They're going to make way more than that. Okay, in order to cover what their loss is.
Right.
If they started doing that, there would be somebody in big trouble at a bank. Okay. Secondly, if someone listed a home for half price, Dan, let's use a really extreme example.
Let's say that happened.
Let's go real. I'm going to go even more extreme than Miss Susie.
Okay.
Let's say someone listed their home. Let's go $500,000 home, and they listed it
for $1.
$1.
Yeah, let's do that.
Would it sell at $1, Dan?
Would it sell for $5, Ray?
No. Would it sell for 10?
No.
100?
Nope.
100,000?
Nope.
Wait, what's happening? They listed it for $1.
Right.
That's called market value.
The market value is not $1. It's also not 150 if everything else is sold. Overnight, 300 grand does not turn into 150 grand. And even if, what was the drop after 2007 and 2008, Ray? 21%?
19%.
19%. What's that? So $300,000 house, 20% is 60 grand.
Right.
That's now a 240 house. And she's saying 150.
I don't know. I mean, she's just making stuff up. Okay.
She's Karening, dude. She's just Karen the shit out of this. Sorry, I said a bad word, but I'm angry.
So that's like, first off, a $300,000 house is not going to sell for $150,000. Period. Okay. But for the sake of argument, let's say that happens. Do you know what that just, again, quoting from Miss Susie.
Yeah.
Do you know what that just did? Property value that you just bought?
No.
Your property now we're $150,000.
So wait, we're saying if that were true, if that house next door to you went for 150, now she's saying that your house is now worth 150, even though you bought it yesterday.
That is what she's saying. Because when somebody goes to check the latest comp, which who would that somebody be? That would be an appraiser. They would say, "Oh, well, the house next door sold for 150. The house down the block, just like yours, sold for 150. So there goes the price of real estate."
And here, wait. But
wait,
now really listen to this last sentence. Go ahead.
Wait, I don't want to hit the last sentence yet. I want to go back up to this because when somebody goes and checks, the person that would go and check the value of a home, especially a comparable property, is either a real estate agent who would see that it's distressed and not use it as a comp, or an appraiser who could give you the official value of a home, and also they would not use it as a comp.
Okay, now here. Now I remember when I first started, there was a lot of shadow inventory coming to the market. There was a lot of distressed properties, still some short sales left over, people that hadn't or had just recently become delinquent. And there was also a lot of foreclosures or bank-owned properties. And I remember that, and this is just a stat I learned while learning how to do appraisals, and it was late 2011 and 12. You only have to consider the distressed properties if more than 50% of the market is distressed properties. Do you remember that being a thing, Ray?
Yep.
So
I only had in the history of me doing this job, I only had 2 foreclosed properties that were ever used as comps. And the only reason why one of them was used is because a majority of the homes in the area were foreclosed.
And it had to be because that was the market.
Right. The only reason why the other one was used is because it sold over market value and had been mostly remodeled before they foreclosed on it. So it was a good comp.
It was a really legit comp. So,
okay. So an appraiser is not going to use that as a comp. Okay. The second thing I would like to mention in this is that she says, "Do you know what just happened to the property, the value of the home you just bought? Are you selling your home right now? Like, why would you sell a home that you just paid $300,000 for? Because a loss or a gain in real estate or even in stocks, which she's a financial advisor, so she should totally know this, is not realized until the time of sale. So let's say you bought a stock for $1 and the market drives it up for $5,000, right? Did you make $5,000 on that stock? No, because you haven't sold it yet. The day you sell it is the day you realize the gain. Now, if you had a $5,000 stock and it went down to $1, did you lose $4,999? No, not unless you sold it at $1. Now, there's probably some major fundamentals at issue with that, but still, you haven't lost it completely until the day you sell. So a gain in real estate or in stocks or in anything else, you just buy a classic car and it goes up and down in value, but you don't lose or gain any value at all until the day you sell. So if you go out and buy a $300,000 house today and you're planning to keep it for 3 to 5 years, no one in their right mind is going to look back 3 to 5 years and say, well, the neighbor sold for $150,000 3 to 5 years ago, so your house is worth $150,000.
Right.
Just that doesn't.
Well, and also think of it this way. Let's say someone does buy a $300,000 house. They put 20% down. That's $60,000. So they have a $240,000 mortgage. Think about the scare tactic. They're scared like speechless right now because they bought a house that's now worth 150 and their mortgage is 90 grand more than that. That's what people are thinking after reading this post.
Yeah, and it's totally inaccurate. But let's hit this last phrase. Let's say, Dan, for the sake of argument, that everything she said to this
all
point
of this was true
is absolutely accurate.
Okay, now remember, I have to talk over Ray here because I don't want you pulling him saying that.
That's right.
We are saying, let's say that
she said. So she said
what she said was true, but we're not saying that. We would never say that. What did she end this whole ridiculous post with, Ray?
Before I get to that, Dan,
you are killing me.
Melissa Vara says, I am in pain watching Dan be in pain and having this be read. Dusty Martin says the bank can't offload it under market value anymore. That's illegal now. Lisa Perk said it's almost like the celebrity financial advisor didn't understand how finances work. Melissa Vara says this is not driving a new car off the dealership lot. Homes don't work like that. Brad Daniels,
look at that right there.
Elitism strikes again. David says, yo.
Hey.
Tom Butt said other people that check out the neighborhood comps besides appraisers, curious neighbors check out their value on Zillow. That's right. So if your neighbor sells for 150,000, I mean, go check your Zestimate. It hadn't moved. David says facts don't matter if you believe her perception of the market. And then Brad says, using extreme examples, you know there will be that appraiser or agent that uses it as a comp and mislead the client. That's very, very unlikely, but you could have one go.
I mean, but to be fair, we are using extreme examples. This is just a grossly misguided thing. But can we get to the last sentence?
All right. I guess we'll put up this last sentence. I'm going to read the sentence before it. Because when somebody goes and checks the latest comp, they're going to see, oh, well, the house next door sold for 150. The house down the block, just like yours, sold for 150. So that's weird. I don't know why there would be two homes all of a sudden. There goes the price of real estate. Quote, and that's exactly what happened in 2007 and 8.
What? She wrote that. She wrote that and put it on her Facebook page. And if you look at her other posts, they all get 400, 500 likes, 100 comments. This has 1.4 thousand shares and a bunch of comments.
Let's look at the breakdown here. 2,900 people like it. 572 people have wowed it. And 185 people love it. 119 people are sad about it. Jay Marks and 122 other people are laughing at it. And then there's 83 people that are mad about it. And 8 people are trying to give her a hug.
They
What's
care.
the Be More audience? Yep, drop in the comments the emoji that you want me to add as the Be More audience, because I can do that right here.
Well, do the cares, because that's the bless your heart.
Is that the bless your heart? So all right, so I've switched now to the Be More. So as a group, you guys let me know which one you want me to use, and And now we're commenting as Be More here. So we can like it. Oh, I liked it. You guys like that? We can
love it,
hug it. We can ha it, wow it, cry about it, or be mad.
I think we give her the bless your heart.
I'm kind of leaning towards angry.
Yeah, like we do angry. Actually, as a stance, as the show, let's do angry. Yes.
Lisa Perk said we could tag her here. Yes, you could. Brad Daniels says blah. I don't have that one. Melissa Marr said a mine isn't an option. Tom Butt said a hug or a slap in the face.
Yeah.
Melissa Marr said Brad Daniels said 2 words, Susie. Bye, Felicia.
Bye.
I commented. Michael Elizabeth said it took all I had not to troll her. I don't know why you wouldn't. All right, so let's go back to the comment.
No. You got to fix that like.
I'll fix the like, but I need you guys to tell me. Melissa Marr said angry. You'll be the only one. No, there's a couple of other angers on there. Let's take a look at the breakdown again. There's 83 other angry people.
Yeah.
So here's the list of those who are angry.
These people need to be awarded congressional medals of honor.
I'm sad I don't see enough people that I like, that I know. I mean, maybe I like them. I just don't know them. All right. So let's go back to this comment. Is it actually like 2007 and 2008? For those of you who don't know, let me explain what was happening a little bit in 2007, 2008 that led to the subprime mortgage crisis.
Ray was in the market, by the way.
Mm-hmm. I could go in and say, hi, Mr. Banker, I'd like to buy a house. The banker would say, okay, Mr. Ray, do you have any money? And I would say, yes, I make $100,000 a year. And the banker would say, okay, Mr. Ray, do you have any documents to support that claim? And I would say, no, sir, I don't. And they would say, what house is it again? And I would tell them the address and they'd say, okay. That was called a no doc because I didn't have any documents, stated income because I just told them what I made, loan, a no doc stated income loan.
Liar loans.
Turns out a lot of those weren't great. And they were being sold and bundled with these other good mortgages. And some of the banks bought a bunch of these bad notes. And when they
bought bad notes with good notes.
Right. Just watch The Big Short. And when they started to default, then it got really bad for a bunch of people. So that's what happened in 2007 and 8. That's not currently what's happening. There's more equity than ever in these homes. That was the other thing, is that people were leveraged out the wazoo. They were in debt up to their eyeballs and had very little equity.
Yeah, strippers had like 10 houses each.
So when the market tanked, there was no equity in it, and a lot of them sold for 20% less than they bought for. And that was part of the reason, is because all the foreclosures and stuff that were happening around the country, the people that didn't have what they said they had, and the banks that couldn't give loans to new buyers because they were overextended. So now a new buyer couldn't, and there was tons of inventory on the market, tons. I mean, you could just buy whatever. Well, unlike now, there's no inventory on the market, very little, like 1.5 months supply in some of our cities around me, which is extremely rare. Their buyers that are in the market are currently very strong buyers because they have survived the COVID financially. They have money to put down on a house. They have good credit because some of those banks still haven't loosened up the credit. So every buyer that's in the market right now that is pre-approved is a really good buyer, very strong. So this is a very, very different market than 2007 and 2008. But Dan, for the sake of argument,
I can't do it
let's
anymore.
say that that's true.
Okay.
Let's say that this is just like 2007 and 2008.
That's what happened.
Right. Do you remember what she said her remedy for this crisis is? Let's take a look at it together. I would absolutely wait until September, October, or November of this year. Yeah, because waiting 3 months is going to stave off a global financial crisis of 2007 and 2008.
But worse than what she's predicting is worse. She's saying 50% loss on home values. She's not saying, dude, and wasn't, I don't know, what was the Great Depression? Wasn't it? Oh, wait, didn't home prices go up after that? But wait.
Yeah. Actually,
19%.
home prices have gone up in every single recession except for two. And of those, home prices went down 19%. And in the other one, I think home prices only dropped like 6% or something. It wasn't
Okay. So let's go with the worst case scenario, which was only 12 years ago. 50%. And Melissa just said it, in a few months' time. That's what she's saying. She's saying, wait right now. Because here, let's just sum up the whole thing. If all of this is true, she's saying, wait right now, wait. Sit on your hands and just wait 3 to 4 months, and you're gonna buy that same house for 50% less. That's what she said.
Lisa Perk said, but we need to know why they're angry. They could be ill-advised angry. That's true. She said, I got one of those loans to buy a $700,000 house in New Orleans. Melissa Marr said 50% in a few months' time. She said, I want to smack her. I did put this link here to the article. So if you'd like to personally respond to Susie, feel free.
By the way, like Ray did.
Yeah, like I did. I'll get to some of those comments shortly. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to use the sad face because, in my opinion, I think that's a good one. It's kind of in between the hug and the anger.
Yeah.
We're just sad that someone who's a global financial guru could be so wrong.
Can I read her other post from July 6th at 3 p.m. Live?
I'm going to read a couple of comments. Then let's do that. I said, this was mine. I said, dear consumers, this is a great example of terrible advice from the entire real estate industry.
And he's up to 74 likes. By the way, one of those is mine.
There you go. Hey, this guy, he watches Be More. Chris, he said, you're supposed to be an authority on financial wellness and investing, but hey, you just gave 1,000 people some of the worst real estate advice possible. That's good. You could go on to read some of his comments there. I had one more comment / GIF image that I wanted to show you guys. Oh, this is Colin JJ Cameron. There's his comment.
Well, that's absolutely.
Ever watch someone out themselves having no idea what they're talking about? He says, I've been an agent for years. This is not even how appraisal process or foreclosure process works. Susie, I would never stir the pot to create financial panic just so I could sell a $70 book. Ooh. That's a good one.
That's pretty good.
So there's more and more. I mean, most of the comments on here are professionals saying that this is not how this works. That this is
just like our dear friend Seth.
Oh,
look at go back up to the Michael Jordan one. Stop it. Get help.
Tony Tobin said your logic is based on a 90-day foreclosure process, not to mention giving national general advice for purchasing just shows how inept you really are.
Stop it. Get some help.
Yeah, that's a good gift. All right. So feel free to go to the other one. Does she double down on this?
Okay, well, that's what I want to read because I've read through it and I did the same thing you did. As I scrolled through, I was like, wait, this isn't it. But many of you are asking if you should buy a home right now. This is her post from July 6th at exactly 3 p.m. There's so much more to think about right now than getting a great deal and looking in low interest rates. You need to think about whether the value of that home is going to hold if the neighbors next to you all of a sudden have to foreclose and sell. That would impact your property value. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you're afraid, if you have any doubt about buying, I wouldn't be doing it. Just slow down. Your real estate agent might tell you to go through with it, but don't be afraid to walk away from something if your gut doesn't want you to go through with it. Holy.
Yeah. And
I can't. This is so. I want to say
real estate
so bad words, but I can't because we're a family-friendly show, and
your real estate agent wants to push you through because they're super greedy.
That's what she's saying. Like, we're not here for your best interest. We don't have a code of ethics to follow, but they're going to tell you to push through it because they're going to make money.
Yeah, she has no code of ethics, by the way. Authors have no code of ethics that they live by. Financial gurus especially have no code of ethics.
Guru. So, I mean, I think Colin's comment is the best. It's just, ever watch someone publicly out themselves as not knowing what they're talking about?
This This is the. I posted on that. I just followed your page so I could unfollow it. That was just my shade. I just want to throw a little shade out there too.
Oh, we have a lot of comments. So look, if I go Candace, our friend, Ryan Bokros, all of them commented. What did Ryan say? Can I find that one?
How do you find comments from your friends? Is that on the second one?
If you hover over it, it'll tell you who's commented.
Ooh.
So let's do
on the second one or the first one?
The second one. So the most recent one, I should say.
Right. The one where she doubled down. Let me go to that one then.
I wish I could find. So talk amongst yourselves. Oh, look, here we go. Colin has another one. Guys, don't buy Susie's book or her program. It's going to be cheaper in the fall. You shouldn't risk your money that way. You're better off waiting, because if enough people don't buy it, then it will go way down in price. So for now, avoid the savings and money advice you desperately need to build the future, because it might be cheaper later. Also, Dave Ramsey is selling for less currently, so eventually she'll have to lower her price. Here we go. So I found there's Colin JJ Cameron. Here's Ryan Bokros, one of our favorite contributors, and he is just so good with stats and facts. Do you want to read that one, Ray? Did you find it?
I'm looking through there now.
All right, so I'll go for it. Susie. I have to say I respect you for remaining consistent. He's so politically correct. He is
so political.
He is so, how do you say that? Yeah, he's very, very political that way. Remaining consistent and doubling down on your poor advice despite how wrong you are. What I find rather interesting about your recent dive into real estate is that you have yet to provide a single data point or statistic to support your advice to potential real estate consumers. Your nonsensical assumptions about how property values are derived and calculated shows your lack of knowledge and understanding of the housing market. I find it irresponsible and lacking professionalism. With that said, I always suggest clients to check their gut when making their huge financial transactions that is a real estate. Yes, exactly. Emotion doesn't change the numbers, but it can affect the sense being put into the decision of investing and understanding one's finances. Any ethical real estate agent is not going to, quote unquote, sell someone on buying a house. We hold a fiduciary duty to put the client's needs above our own. And while there may be bad actors, the majority of the industry is ethical and moral. Sounds like a familiar current topic of debate, huh?
Yeah.
And he finishes with this one. Stay in your lane, Susie. Your credibility is wilting rapidly.
Yeah, that's what a lot of them have said, that stay in your lane. I'm still trying to find the comments of friends. Oh, there. Okay, now I can see it. There it is. There's Ryan. So I had to switch to me. I was on the Be More thing. I had to switch to me. Now I can see them all.
I just responded to I was like, dude, we just read this live on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, look at that one. Just straight up ignorant woman.
True.
They're all
right.
bash.
Yeah, I was looking just a second ago as you were reading Ryan's comment. I was trying to find one that supported it. I did not find one. I did find one that was oddly asking about rich people.
Go back up.
Where?
Right there, the one with the futurism.com. Absolutely, especially if we may end up heading into a second lockdown in many markets. Holy.
And this person is advertising their pandemic advisor says the country needs to shut down again.
And they're a top fan.
Let's see. She's I'm going to anger that one. Okay. So there we go. I think we've broken down our general post sufficiently enough for everyone who's hopefully watching our show to be able to share so that everyone knows that Susie is not right. And I do have a video coming out on this a little later. So be watching for the video. I think it'll have some of the same info that we talked about here. But yeah,
I'm going to go live about this later in the week. I'm not done with this. I'm going to go live about this later in the week, maybe Thursday, maybe Friday, whatever, but I'm not done with this. This is ridiculous. I'm going to tag her. I'm going to tag her in my post too.
Yep.
Wow.
Oh yeah. I did find one. This Mark Pfeiffer. Always love these responses, especially from agents who always say the same thing. Okay. Whatever.
He's the Pfeiffer with the funny name.
With the PF. Mm-hmm.
Remember.
All right. Well, guys, Melissa Moore says, do it. And so we will do it. We'll end the show. Dan, where can everybody find you?
D. Ludwig Rock. Actually, you know what? Go to Suze Orman's page and leave an angry comment on that person's page. There you go. You can find me at dludwigrocks.com, but I'm going to be commenting on those posts all day because I had read them, but I hadn't deep divin. I hadn't deep divin them like we did today on the show. Deep dove. I hadn't deep dove in them like we did on the show. Literally, how Ray broke them down into, let's stop after this sentence and let's say that's true. And then she ramped it up. Now let's say that's true. And then she just kept going. So anyway, Ray, where can they find you, buddy?
You can find me on Suze Orman's post. You can also find me wherever good Rays or Becks are sold. You can find me on Instagram and such at RAYZORBACK. And I'll be there. And do look for a video that we're finishing shooting, and have shot part of it. But I've got to finish that. Hopefully it'll be out maybe tomorrow, maybe Friday. So
we love you guys.
Yep. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. Please share the show.
Yay, sharing is so much caring. Please, yay, bye.
Especially now that it's over.